Welcome back to Champion News Talk Radio, brought to you by championnews.net. This is Carol Parisi, our founder, Jack Roser, and myself have Lennie Jarrett. We're talking about the lame duck session. And Jack, before the break, you were talking about precinct committeeman Pat Brady and this gay marriage bill.
Yeah, because Pat Brady came out for Two Guys Make a Family, and they definitely do not. I finally did get a hold of Pat Brady on the phone, and he tried to present it to me. But he made an argument to me that it was actually the more conservative thing to do. And
How so?
Said, oh, well, I could hardly repeat the, I don't think he's making sense on that. I don't think that's so. And it's hard to make sense. And I said, look, it's not debatable. You're chairman of the party, and you cannot come out and say a thing like that that's in violation of the platform of the Republican Party. And you are the state chairman, which is largely of the congressman, because you're elected only from congressional districts and not from the counties and so on. And you shouldn't have gone off half-cocked and done that. But our conversation got interrupted. He had to leave. He said, we'll take it up next week. Well, next week's here, and I haven't been able to get a hold of Brady. So he's stuck in the issue, and at this point, there's nothing for it, but he's either got to retract that statement about it publicly, or he's going to have to leave as chairman of the party, because the huge majority of this party does not agree with what he's doing.
Michael, what are you going to say?
Well, you know, what they're trying to do is they're trying to legislate morality. Now, governments has three different...
Legislate immorality.
Yeah, well, here's the thing, is there's three things they do when they make laws. They make laws that permit, promote, and prohibit, okay? Now, for them to go to the point of actually promoting gay marriage, something that, I mean, if you look at some of the health studies, it is a very unhealthy lifestyle, just alone, that period. Government has no business promoting this. I could understand people lobbying to if it was prohibited, but it's not. We're not talking about taking away people's freedoms and people not having the freedom to do what they want.
Behind their own private...
We're talking about taking an institution that's been in man's civilization for thousands of years and turning it into something it has never been.
You know, that's Mike Brown speaking, and Mike Brown's a very interesting man and has a great many talents. And he's a fellow that's put together this studio and is very adept at the skills it takes to put on technically a program like this. And it's kind of funny that we always have a fourth person that can join in the conversation, because his brains doesn't end with just the technical stuff. This is a guy that's done a lot of political work, and we're glad to have the voice behind the lens. You should see him. He's a big, handsome man anyway. But you'll get ladies. But
well,
yeah.
During the break, Carol Ann asked about what can the people do. Really, your option right now is to contact your county chairman and contact the Central Committee, and give them your thoughts that can get to Pat Brady, because it really boils down to the Central Committee has the decision to make. The Central Committee can force Pat Brady out, or he can step down willingly, but it all comes down to what the Central Committee wants, and you can put pressure on them by talking to them directly or talking to them through the county chairman.
You know,
let me. This is an old problem that's been bugging our party in this state for quite a while, and there's a rather unpleasant radical guy that's been pushing the direct election of the Central Committee. But what people don't realize is the Republican Party is organized incorrectly, in the sense that the Central Committee is entirely a product of the congressional districts. And as a result, when it comes to an election, the Central Committee is a bunch of people that are responding to congressional elections. And there's a big input from the national scene on that too. Both in the primary, inappropriately, but in the general election, appropriately, very well. So, but at the level of the House and Senate, there is no direct home for that. There's no home for it in the Central Committee, and I'm not ragging on these people, but the delegates on the Central Committee, there's one for every congressional district, and they're elected in a congressional district. And since we have changed the rules so that they can't vote the empty precincts, now there's a very fair election within the congressional districts. That's all taken care of in this radical goof that's trying to have direct elections. There's no reason for that whatsoever. So we've cured one problem, but still the representation for the House and Senate in the state of Illinois isn't. There was a time when the United Republican Fund was full of a bunch of rich Brahmins and wonderful people like Fred Wacker and others I could mention, because I was a director of that organization for quite a while. But there were some very stable, rich people that gave stability to the Republican Party. That's all gone, and it's not going to be reconstructed with the strength and the fairness that it once had.
Right.
So we got to realize, and we've got to rebuild the Republican Party around the politics of the counties. There's 102 counties in the state, and now with all of the committeemen empowered to vote within their own counties, we have the level of democracy that ought to be filled up with Tea Party people and other individuals that have some decent views of what the Republican Party should do.
Well, that's true, except in Cook County.
Except in Cook County.
County is its own animal.
Its own animal,
Yes.
of course, in Illinois.
It's more difficult. We're handling that. We've got a very active chairman in Cook County that's cooperating and I think doing some good things.
Right.
But it is a different county. In the way
And
it's
speaking
organized.
about the way the Republican Party is geared around congressional districts, that also becomes a problem as we saw in this last election when Illinois is not in play. It's a solid blue state. So Mitt Romney, and there was no top of the ticket helping here in Illinois. He'd just come in, take money, and leave. He'd
But
fly.
Illinois is
Incidentally,
not a
and there
blue
was no
state.
Not overall,
incidentally,
but
that election was screwed up because there was no leadership in the presidential.
It shows, it
because
exposed the leadership of the Republican Party is very
this
lacking.
guy Rutherford, that was a senator, but now he's the treasurer of his thing. And Rutherford is one of the guys that voted for this weird two guys make a family. He's got a wrong idea there of another guy that's in violation of the platform of the Republican Party. So there was no leadership that was going to help the down ballot people.
Right. It was
No
huge.
coattails.
There's a leadership vacuum in the Republican Party right now.
You're looking for the turkeys that hurt our party in this election, that screwed up the last 4 or 5%. There just wasn't anything at the top end of the party in the presidential election or the overall leadership of the Republican Party.
There was no overarching message, and we have leadership that goes and votes with Michael Madigan, and that's a problem.
You know what I find concerning about some of these laws that they make based on sexual orientation or gender or race is that it doesn't, on its face, it's kind of almost prejudice because it doesn't it affects the whole population, but it only is a law for a certain very small portion.
Minority, yes.
And I don't think that's how our republic is meant to be run, where you're making laws based on those types of things. Isn't that on its face a kind of racist and sexist type of law?
Well, the problem is, it starts the way they've done it. It starts to fringe on other rights. So they're using this law now. The past will now be it didn't pass yet, but it's the new session is going to get brought right back up again, and it's got stands a good chance of passing. But as we saw with the civil union when it passed, it put Catholic charities, adoption agencies out of business. It starts to infringe on freedom of religion, and you've had bed and breakfasts get sued because it didn't allow same-sex couples in their bed and breakfast, which was interesting because they don't allow unmarried couples, period, in their bed and breakfast, but yet they were able to win. And it opens up a whole new avenue of lawsuits and these unintended consequences of laws because they're trying to make they're passing feel-good laws. They're not passing laws that really actually work.
These people, the homosexual bunch, are trying to become a family because of our privileges to being categorized as a family.
Right.
But you know, there are duties too, and the care and feeding of the helpless within your family is why families are given a special thing, and it's all about the kids
Right.
and the enlarged family.
We're going to come back. We have so much more to talk about. Stay with us after the break.